Loot Podcast.
All right, we gotta get set up the same.
So I'm here today with my good friend, Cody Lewis, who I won't go too much into your intro. I'll let you fill in a lot of the gaps here. But
Of course.
Founder of Pocket Change Designs.
Yep.
Right now, you're famous for the tuck.
Yes. So that was our first product.
That's your first product, and we're hanging here in just a beautiful outdoors. It's a beautiful day. Cody, tell us a little bit more about us, what you're doing, who you are.
So Pocket Change Designs was kind of a response to being totally unfulfilled after college in my job search. Basically, I was going around looking for copywriter jobs, went to school for advertising, and one of the first offers was to be a social media manager for IHOP.
The pancake?
The pancake gods. So basically I was like, is there going to be any type of fulfillment coming from this?
Yeah.
Is this going to be something that I really want to do, selling meals that I don't even eat myself,
Yeah, sure.
And the answer was no. And so I kind of started trying to take ideas that I have and that we all have about how to improve things and trying to put them into action. And started out with this few different inventions, and the first one that really came into fruition was the tuck. And it's a new type of blanket that we invented and put over Kickstarter. And that was me and my brothers, who I meant by we. And
Nice.
yeah, that's kind of how it all started out.
That's awesome. So I'd love to really to start get into what drove you, what drove you to invent something? Like what besides we sort of talked about getting into college and just being like, I want to be able to do my own thing, but have you always been a creative? Have you always earned for something more?
Yeah, I've always wanted to. So my dad's an entrepreneur, and he has always built things. He builds homes for a living.
Yeah.
And so I just always admired that kind of self-starter work ethic and his ability to just kind of take anything and create something amazing and beautiful out of it. And so I wanted to do that in my own kind of way, and I've always been interested in consumer products and new innovations that come out, and that's kind of how it all came to be.
So talk to us about the tuck. What are we listening to? What are we thinking of right now? What is the tuck?
So the tuck is a combination of a pillow with an eye mask, and then it folds out into a footed blanket that you can stick your feet into, and then you can flip it over and it becomes a cloak. And so basically this all started because my brother came to me and he was like, hey man, I've always wanted a blanket where I can tuck my feet into it. I guess one of those boogeyman type fears.
That may have been like a childhood fear. I feel like I still get that sometimes. I can't sleep with my feet outside the blanket.
Yeah, and I started looking into this and
I may be a
realized
tucker.
It's a huge problem. So there's tuckers, there's kickers, and there's tweeners. Tweeners are I'm a tweener.
Okay.
So I get a little hot in the middle of the night. I kick one foot out.
Respectable.
Yep. So the tuck has an opening on the side where you can kick one of your feet out and kind of get some of that toe breeze.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of my brother and I found the problem first, and then we created this pocketed blanket. My girlfriend taught me how to sew, and I started making prototypes.
Nice.
Very sloppily at first.
Nice.
But eventually it led into something that was totally marketable.
That's awesome.
Something that we really thought could make a difference.
Yeah, I'd love to, but I want to talk about making a difference. But first, let's talk about failure.
Yeah.
You're young. We're both young. We're trying to do something. But before we started this conversation, we were talking a little bit earlier about we kind of enjoy the failure.
Yeah.
But talk to me about failure, especially in your business career so far.
So failure is the mother of success, essentially.
Yeah.
You can't. It's very rare that somebody just gets there. There's no such thing as overnight success, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
It's kind of an illusion that you only find out about people once they're successful. But yeah, the first product I tried to invent, it was a shirt that could essentially just have pockets. I actually sewed this shirt as one of the style things, but a shirt where you can change out the pockets, and that's where pocket change came from. Yeah. And each of these sets of pockets would essentially be associated with a charity that the purchaser would be donating to by getting the 3-pack. And I had 500 of these manufactured, just like found a seamstress, tried to get them all done, and it was just like a small test run, but it was an epic failure. Like, came back all of them defective, and it was back to square one, and that's where kind of the tuck started coming into play.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So failure to success, and for you, really, like, what has been really the fulfillment of that all?
So the fulfillment of it was when the Kickstarter was successfully funded. That's kind of when I knew that it was something worth pursuing and that this wasn't all for naught. Like, as you know, in the beginning stages of anything, there's kind of this immense doubt inside of you of, am I just kind of postponing the inevitable of going and getting a 9-to-5 job and kind of like doing the thing that I never really planned for? Am I just like waiting it out until then and kind of wasting time, or is this something that truthfully my intuition is guiding me into in the right direction? And when I started getting that return, it was something that was really powerful. People were super excited about it, and then once I started shipping them out, it was like doubly so.
Yeah.
Because people would get the product and be like, "Hey man, I love this. Like, I never thought I would be so comfortable with such like a simple innovation." And I was stunned. It's like, even up to fulfillment, I was doubting whether or not it was just like a great video and great presentation, or if the product was like truthfully there.
Right. I mean, even today too. One thing I've noticed, and I think this is great for young adults, because we're kind of at a stage right now where being an entrepreneur is so cool that people walk around flaunting money or renting cars and just doing crazy things to show off on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing it like ground level, dirty work. Like, you don't have $1 million office. You're not driving a Ferrari. No. At least not that I know of.
No Ferrari. I'm hiding around here.
Like, it's literal dirt. Like, it's dirty work.
It is. So like I'm taping up the boxes myself.
How many employees do you have?
I have 0 So I have the most minimum wage employee ever, my mom. So she'll help me with post office runs every now and then. She's helped me with some of the packaging.
Yep.
My girlfriend's helped me stitching some of the initial prototypes.
But running the business, like
day to day,
Cody Lewis.
Yeah. So I have great friends. They'll do some graphic design. My brother is an amazing graphic designer. One of my good friends is a great video guy. And the day-to-day stuff, the packaging, every single tuck, inspecting every single one to make sure all quality goes out the door. Yeah, that falls onto my shoulders most days. And it's gratifying, because this whole thing, it's like been a master's degree type deal, where every day I have to learn something that I didn't even consider when going into entrepreneurship. It's not all glitz and glamour. It's tough work, and you definitely got to be in the trenches for a little while before you take anything away from it.
Yeah, I mean, and right too, I think that's just building the right foundation too. And I think, again, another great young adult sort of thing to think about is, like, we almost need to go through that dirt. We need to like learn and fail and taste some success, but really like kind of grind for a while to build up a good foundation, so that if we ever can get to that point, we're already acting like we've been there the whole time.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right? Like, there's so much power in that.
Yeah, and I was thinking of it, and like, would I be better off if my Kickstarter was one of those like immensely funded ones? And truthfully, I really don't think so, because of where it was at in that sort of middle zone. It's forced you to kind of totally shoestring budget this whole thing. And because of that, it's kind of shown appreciation for every aspect that I'll be outsourcing as I move forward, which is it's a powerful thing to really be able to appreciate every level of the employee chain.
One more question on this topic of the business and what's going on. Where do you see it going? What's the future hold for Pocket Change Designs?
So in this early stage it's just out of my house right now, and the way I envision it is I have about 5 or 6 more ideas right now that I know I'm ready to launch over Kickstarter within the next few years. So the way I see it going is they'll gradually increase from simplistic type designs to things that are a little bit more complex and require a little bit more money for prototyping and all that. But I suspect that by the end of the next Kickstarter, I'll be able to bring on my first employee, and then maybe after the next one, it'll be 10. But I just want to kind of spread this good mission and good products and like these simple, why didn't I think of that type inventions.
Yeah.
And I just hope that people keep liking them as much as they have so far.
Awesome. That's awesome. So shifting with the mission you've got going on here, I want to get we're gonna get to your why in a little bit and talk about that. But the thing I do want to look into for a moment here is the charity work. Is the sort of the we mentioned it with the T-shirt designs. How does charity and service come into your business right now?
So the charity aspect has been important for me from the very beginning, because I just think that should be just one of the cornerstones of any business, really, nowadays. There's enough bounty to go around where we can all kind of do great work and still be providing towards the greater good, and I think that's a strong example to set as a company. So at the beginning with the pockets, as I've already briefly touched on, it was going to be, each pocket was dedicated toward a different charity that meant something to me. So, for example, one of the sets of pockets was going to be called Grandpa's Closet or something along those lines, where they would be tweed or all these different older fabrics with like a classy feel.
Nice.
And my grandpa, I didn't really get to know him that much. I was 5 when he passed away.
Wow.
But he had Alzheimer's for a long time, and it really stuck with my mom. She was taking care of him. My dad was giving him baths and all these things, and I just knew how that affected them.
Wow. Yeah.
So this one was going to be donated towards like the Alzheimer's Foundation, and then each one was going to be that. And as the pockets fell away, the charitable mission kind of stuck around.
Awesome.
And I didn't want to do a Tom's model where it was kind of inherent with when you bought something, you stood for this charity. I wanted to give people like an option at checkout, like, do you give a tuck was our thing, the Give a Tuck program. So at checkout, people are asked when they buy their tuck, do you give a tuck?
Yeah.
And if they do and decide to donate that $5 extra, which is half of what it takes to get it somewhere, we'll say, hey, we'll match you on that and we'll donate this towards a charity.
That's awesome.
And in return, the person who buys it gets a carry bag that their tuck comes in.
Cool.
The Give a Tuck bag.
Give a tuck.
And that was just always something that I thought was necessary in the business, and something that my ideal business would have as a part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That right there is, I really do think, better off to, be grinding for a while.
Yeah.
But at the same point in the early stages, starting off with that charitable aspect.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got to be from the beginning. It can't just be something that that comes in once you have eyes on
like,
you.
Customers want it now, right?
Yeah.
Like, not to say that like you're doing it in strategic planning, but like it is just right.
Yeah, it's right, and honestly, it is. So the Give a Tuck aspect of it, with the carry bag, it is something that's like strategic, because when people decide to give, like when they decide to make that honest like choice, like I give a tuck, that's something that I wanted them to consciously do in order to kind of proceed forward. It's not one of those, I buy a pair of Toms and I automatically care. It's like something where it's like I went the extra step, and I'm rewarded for it, and I can like kind of show it off. Like the Live Strong community proved for so many years is an important thing, but it was something that I thought was necessary, and thought that would kind of be a more of a mental shift for consumers.
That's awesome. I love it. So Cody, I want to ask you the big question here.
Yep.
What would you say your why is?
My why.
Whether it's with the business, whether it's just personal, what is your driving purpose right now in life? Your compass.
My compass is kind of my folks, really, my parents. Like what they have provided, like going like just since I was a little kid up until now, like, and just the guidance and always trying to make me happy and do what's best for me, and kind of provide me with such a moral structure, it's a very powerful thing. I've seen how hard my dad's worked his whole life doing everything, and I kind of wanted to be able to emulate that like type of generation where they weren't just out there getting like a cushy job and doing stuff. They were grinding it out, man. Like my dad was on his own when he was 12 years old, and just like he was working at night and then going to school the next day, and all of that led to having a beautiful family and a great life. And that's kind of something that I want to be able to pay homage to with this business and with how it's growing and how it develops in the future. And that is something that's very important. And the Give a Tuck program, where we are giving a blanket to a homeless youth or just a homeless person for every one that's sold, that's something that kind of was brought about by two different instances. So my aunt had, as we discussed previously, and as I talked about at Covenant House, my aunt had some issues with drugs, and she was one of the first people that got a tuck. So I lost contact with her for a couple years, and then she eventually came back around and came over for Thanksgiving one year, and it was just like this great healing time. And I was stitching these at my house at the time, and I gave her one of them, and she just like started crying. And that's something that was like it was very powerful. And in the weeks after that, she was using it and calling me and telling me how cozy it kept her and how warm it was. So that was kind of the deciding factor for that, along with another instance in California where a woman that was living outside of my brother's place, she passed away while we were there for Christmas. She's just hypothermia in California, in San Diego nonetheless.
Oh, wow.
So I realized it was indeed a problem that needed some solutions on the home front.
Yeah.
And it kind of just one of those alchemy moments where you kind of take every little sign that life gives you and try to roll it into one little mission, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It gets convoluted because there's a lot of prongs to it, but at the end of the day, it's just something where I try to take every little experience and turn it into something good.
Sort of an opportunity in every different,
Exactly.
whether it's a failure, whether it's a success, there's an opportunity to be of use, do something good in that moment. That
cheesiness that everything happens for a reason. If you don't believe it, then it's difficult to make sense of certain things, you know?
I'm with you, man. Providence. That's awesome. So Cody, as we wrap it up here, you're talking a lot about giving back, helping the homeless, different things of just having fulfillment going through this process. I mean, you're starting your own business. What is like one thing that, just sort of one big lesson or moment, experience that you've learned and that is a good takeaway for the audience?
Good takeaway for the audience. Do what you love and do it every single day. Every day. Do what you love, and if you do that, then your life will be a success, really, because it's just, you're just in a better mindset that way, and not just what you love, but what you're really good at, what you're good at too. And anything else, you can get help along the way with the other parts, but just keep doing what you're good at and what you love, and when it doesn't work out for you, just realize that it's a learning experience. But
awesome.
We all have it so well, and it's just about appreciating that while also working towards what you really want in life.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Cody. Appreciate you sharing your business with us. Make sure to put a link below.
I appreciate you.
Where can we follow you?
You can follow me at. So there's two different domains here.
Check it out.
One of them's kind of more friendly. It's called pocketchange.life. Or if you're feeling risque, you can go to tuckyourself.com. Find us there.
I recommend Tuck Yourself.
Tuck Yourself.
That's awesome. Cody.
Luke.
Appreciate it, my man.
Absolute pleasure.
Ready? 1, 2.